I don't understand it. No one talks like that anymore. It's just not for me. It's not relevant. I hate it. These are all things I've heard people say about Shakespeare. I wanted to give you some helpful tips that if you're interested in starting a new relationship with the works of William Shakespeare, then maybe this will give you some guidance. Hello, my name is Sarah and a very warm welcome to Something Shakespeare. Okay, number one. This might seem like the most obvious thing, but watch it. So many people went through their school experience never actually watching Shakespeare. It was read in classroom, and Shakespeare is never meant to be read. It is meant to be performed. There are lots of opportunities now to be able to watch Shakespeare in all different mediums. You'll be able to find things on YouTube. You can find things on DVDs. You can find things on streaming services such as the Globe Player, Broadway HD, National Theatre at Home. All these services offer ways that you can access things, not to mention all the various film adaptations that there are. And of course the obvious one is to go to a live experience, whether at your local theatre or whether you travel. When it comes to the summery months, there's a lot more touring Shakespeare. Keep an eye out at local council-run parks or houses such as National Trust houses or stately homes, where they will have professional companies come in and perform, and you can get some incredible experiences from that. So tip number two, if you're going to watch it live or even watch it on the screen at home, do not attempt to follow the script. You will find if you try and follow Shakespeare's script, you are going to get yourself into some difficulty, because you may not, the production that you're watching, you don't know which version of the text that they're going to be using. There are different publications, and also they will have done a huge amount of editing of the script to keep it under a certain time. So my tip number three, make an experience of it. Going to the theatre is such a wonderful experience at the best of times, but don't do this alone. Take somebody with you so that you've got somebody then that you can debate with, talk about what you've seen, and even if you're watching it at home, make an experience of it. If you're watching something at home, it's very likely that it will have been broadcast in the cinema at some point. So turn your phone off, turn the lights off, get a nice drink, get some snacks, make yourself comfortable, and allow yourself to be immersed in the experience of watching Shakespeare. Pretend you're at the cinema, pretend you're at the theatre. When it gets to the interval point, which will be marked, then pause it. Then go and have a refreshment break. Think about what you've seen. Make it a fun experience. Tip number 4. Go with what suits you. Generally, people are aware of the ones that they study in school, so things like Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Hamlet, Twelfth Night. Everybody knows them, people will go and watch them, but there are 37 different plays out there that you can go and explore. Now, if you are into something like Game of Thrones-esque, something that's a bit more unsettling and a bit more gory, then go for something like Titus Andronicus. Now, if you like really intense drama, then go with Othello. If you love rom-com, then go with Much Ado About Nothing. And again, I'm picking perhaps the common ones, but don't be afraid to have a little look into the synopsis of the story and think, what will suit me best? Tip number 5. There are plenty of productions now that are available for you to watch at home. My recommendation is to go with a more recently recorded production. You can watch Laurence Olivier's Henry V, which was filmed during World War II. But acting styles have come on and changed so much. Even now, the style of acting and style of filming is constantly on the move. If you were in the school, if you were doing your O-levels or GCSEs in the 80s and the 90s and early noughties, there's a very good chance that you will have watched something from the BBC collection. And I don't want to disrespect the BBC collection, because there are some wonderful things to see in those productions. So off the top of my head, in their production of Romeo and Juliet, you've got a young Alan Rickman doing Tybalt. that's reason to watch it alone. But the way that it's filmed is a little bit stagnant. So yeah, stick to something modern, stick to something new. There's plenty out there to explore. Tip number 6. This is a little bit more perhaps uncomfortable. Something that you might have to be aware of when you go and see Shakespeare live is not every production of Shakespeare is going to be good. I have seen a wide variety of amateur and professional Shakespeare. Sometimes I have seen some really good amateur Shakespeare. Sometimes I've seen some really bad professional Shakespeare. And that doesn't give me any joy in saying, because I'd like to think I'm quite a positive person, so I will always try and find the good in anything. But sometimes you can come out of something, if you come out feeling bored, lost, maybe uncomfortable, if you find yourself itching in your seat and looking around, looking about you, or even if your mind's starting to wander towards your phone, then it's likely that it's not you, it's the production that you're watching. And it does happen, unfortunately. But I would also suggest, don't be put off by something being an amateur production. One of the best things that I've ever seen to do with Shakespeare was done by a local amateur group. It wasn't a full play, it was segments of various bits of Shakespeare, but it was done with such heart and such passion, and you could tell they'd really worked on the language. I just loved it, and it still resonates with me today of what a positive experience that is. Tip number 7. It's not your job to memorise the script. It is not your job to come out afterwards and remember everything that you've heard. That is the job of the actors. It is your job to trust the actors. Professional actors in particular spend a long time exploring the script, learning the script, making sure that they deliver the script in a way like they're saying it for the very first time. Trust them to do their job. By all means, before going to see a production, if you want to read a synopsis, get to know the character names, because let's face it, Shakespeare comes out with some incredible names that even now I panic about how I'm going to pronounce. Things like Posthumus and Petruchio are names that it's very easy to trip over. So feel free to explore those names, but trust the actor to do their work. Sit back, relax, don't worry. People always fret about the language. That's one of the things that people say, I'm not going to understand it. Only 5% of Shakespeare's language is different to what we speak today. So for the best part, you will actually know what's going on, and you will understand it, you will feel the emotion. Tip number 8. Leave school behind. I can speak from my own experience of when I did AS level Richard II, and I wasn't engaged with it, I didn't enjoy the experience, and even now it's a play that I don't really like to go into too much because it's got too many bad memories. I completely failed on that exam. The experience that you have on Shakespeare in the classroom will have a massive impact on how you feel about Shakespeare, whether you found it boring, entertained, engaged. There are many people that have to teach Shakespeare that don't want to, they don't like it. And I think that's really sad because that's the impression that's put onto you from a teacher. Shakespeare doesn't necessarily belong in an English classroom, it belongs in a theatre classroom, in my opinion. So those are my tips to trying to elbow your way into the world of Shakespeare. It is more accessible than it has ever been in the past, and I hope that you can find something that you will enjoy and open yourself up to a world of wonderful experiences from exploring Shakespeare. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. If you can, please give my video a like, please pop a comment down in the box. What do you think of my tips? Are they something that you relate to? I'd love to know. Please tell me in the comments, what was your school experience? Maybe you still are at school or you were at school a long time ago. But let me know, what was your experience like? Let's have a conversation about how Shakespeare is delivered in the classroom. Please subscribe to my channel. Your support would mean the world to me. Again, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.